Annie was a beautiful woman who loved God with all her heart. She went to church every Sunday and was very involved in the church activities. Her pastor was like a father to her, and she trusted his words and advice. One day, the pastor called Annie and told her that he had a word from God for her. He said that God has showed him a man who was sent by God to be her husband. Annie was excited and curious, and the pastor told her that the man was Brother Eugene, a dedicated member of their church. Annie had seen Brother Eugene around the church, but they had never really talked. However, she trusted her pastor's prophecy and believed that Brother Eugene was the man God has chosen for her. So, without hesitation, she agreed to marry Brother Eugene without even courting. There was another man who had been asking Annie out for more than a year, a man named Felix. But Annie had refused to give him a chance because he was not a born-again Christian. She believed that a Christian should only marry another Christian, especially a born-again, and so she had turned down Felix's advances. Annie and Brother Eugene got married, and at first everything seems perfect. They went to church together, prayed together, and seems to be in love. But as time went on, things started to change. Brother Eugene began to act differently, and Annie started to feel unhappy. Within the first 5 months of their marriage, Brother Eugene stopped providing for Annie's needs. He would sometimes give her 1,000 naira to cook food, but that was it. Annie had to use her own money to make ends meet, and she was working at that time. 1 year into their marriage, Annie gave birth to a beautiful boy named Ike. But as Ike grew older, Annie started to feel more and more frustrated with Brother Eugene's behavior. He was not providing for their child's need, and Annie was doing everything on her own. One afternoon, Annie came home from the hospital where Ike had been treated for a serious illness. She was exhausted and worried, and she had been trying to reach Eugene all day, but he had not answered his phone, and Annie was getting more and more angry. As she entered the house, she saw Eugene sleeping and snoring like a log of wood. Annie's anger boiled over, and she screamed at him, "So you are here sleeping? I've been calling you since. Ike is seriously sick. You don't care at all for your own child." Tears streamed down her face as she looked at Eugene, feeling a mix of sadness, anger, and frustration. Eugene opened his eyes slowly, looking confused and disoriented. "What is wrong?" he asked, his voice groggy from sleep, and his anger turned to shock. Did he really not know what was wrong? Did he not care that their child was sick? "Ike is seriously ill," she said, her voice shaking with emotion. "I've been trying to reach you all day, and you just slipped through it." Eugene sat up, rubbing his eyes. "Is that why you are shouting?" he said. "But Ike is fine now, and he's sleeping peacefully. That's all that matters." Annie felt a wave of sadness wash over her. She had thought that Eugene was the man God has chosen for her, but now she wasn't so sure. Was she wrong to trust her pastor's prophecy? Was she wrong to marry Brother Eugene without getting to know him better? As she looked at Eugene, she felt a sense of uncertainty. What would happen next? Would their marriage survive the challenges they are facing? Only time would tell. The next morning, Eugene dressed up for work, and Annie quickly blocked him at the doorway. "Please, there's no food in the house. Can you give me some money to cook?" she asked. Eugene stared at her with so much hatred. "Take this 1,000 naira. Please cook a very rich and quality food," he said with pride, and his eyes widened in shock. 1,000 naira for what? Are you even aware of the high cost of items in the market? She asked. Eugene didn't answer. He just turned and left, leaving Annie feeling frustrated and helpless. She had no one to turn to, no one to talk to, because after their marriage, Eugene made her cut off her friends and support system. Even her only elder sister had disowned her because of Eugene, and Annie was left to deal with the consequences of her actions. Annie thought about visiting her pastor, hoping that he could talk to Eugene and make him understand the gravity of the situation. Maybe her pastor could help her find a way out of this difficult marriage. But as she thought about it, she wondered if it was already too late. Had she made a mistake by trusting her pastor's prophecy? She thought deeply. One afternoon, Eugene was dressing up to go out as usual, and Annie calmly spoke to him. Honey, please, we need to see Pastor Johnny. He had called severally to know why we haven't been going to church. Eugene ignored her like she wasn't referring to him. After continuously reminding him, they both visited their pastor. Pastor Johnny looked at the couple and could tell that all was not well. But Eugene tried to convince the pastor and his wife that Annie and him were doing very well. Annie stared at him with so much anger. I will speak my mind. What more hasn't he done? He's already starving me and my little baby, she murmured. The pastor's wife looked at her carefully. Sister Annie, is everything okay? I'm sure you have so much to say. Annie spoke up, telling them how Eugene had changed drastically, how he doesn't provide for the family, how he doesn't care about their child, and how he would give her 1,000 naira to cook in this current economy, expecting to see very rich and quality food. She also told them how he would keep malice with her for more than a month without any remorse. Daddy, thank you so much for this great opportunity. I don't take it for granted at all. I am very tired of this marriage already, Annie said, tears streaming down her face. I had to pour out my mind. So you see the outcome of your prophecy in my life. Pastor Johnny shook his head as he looked at Eugene with disappointment. What? Brother Eugene, is this true? Why would you allow the devil to dwell in you? Why do you want to lose the beautiful family God has given you in a platter of gold? What can 1,000 naira buy in this our present economy? Abba, this is not good now. Pastor Johnny spoke some sense into him. The couples were cancelled separately, and when they got home, Annie was scared of what Eugene might do to her. But to her greatest surprise, he didn't react negatively. Instead, he was very helpful in the house. The next day, when he came back from work, he brought foodstuff home and gave Annie enough money. He also discussed what kind of business she would love to do, since she had stopped working because she got pregnant for their child. Annie was so happy and told him that she wanted a foodstuff business. Eugene gave her enough money for the business, and everything seems to be going smoothly for a while. But Annie started noticing the same pattern from Eugene again. She was frustrated again and spoke to her only friend, who is her neighbor at the market, who advised her to leave. That man is a toxic man, her friend said. You mess up big time, oh my friend. You didn't cut him to know him very well. My dear, this is who he is, oh. He will never change. I will advise you to divorce him for the sake of your mental health and that of your baby. Annie refused, saying that divorce was against her faith. I will continue to fast and pray, she said. The devil is just trying so hard to destroy us, but he won't succeed. Her friend warned her again. My friend, open your eyes, oh, before it's too late. One Saturday morning, as Annie was cleaning their bedroom, Eugene was bathing. His phone rang, and Annie said, Honey, your phone is ringing. But Eugene didn't respond, and the phone wouldn't stop ringing. So Annie picked up the call, intending to tell the person to call back that Eugene was in the shower. But what she heard shocked her. Baby, why aren't you taking my calls? Or is it because of the 500,000 naira you promised to send me? I was calling to let you know that I've received 300,000 naira already. When are you sending me the remaining money? Hello? Hello, baby. Can you hear me? Annie was heartbroken. So Eugene is cheating on me, she thought. And he gave another woman 300,000 naira, while his child and I can barely feed well. If I don't bring foodstuffs from my shop, we won't have food to eat. And he has this amount of money to give another woman, she thought deeply. And when Eugene came out of the bathroom, Annie couldn't hold herself. She screamed, "You demon! I believe you were sent to destroy me. So you are cheating on me. And you gave the woman 300,000 naira. And we don't even have 10,000 naira in this house. God, what have I done to deserve this demon?" Eugene looked at her calmly and asked, "Madam, what is it? Why are you shouting like a cow? What are you talking about? And why did you pick my call?" Annie was paralyzed in surprise. Tears couldn't stop streaming down her beautiful face. Annie's business started struggling as she was eating from the business too much, and Eugene didn't care. The circle continued, with him being very nice and attentive to Annie for a while, and then switched back to his old ways. He would cheat without remorse, and Annie was at her wits' and Eugene lied to Annie that he was traveling for work one afternoon. Annie found out from an old friend that Eugene was spotted with a woman carrying a newborn baby in Abuja, and he was staying with her. Annie was tired of her suffering and decided to let him be. The thought of reconciling with her only sister was what was bothering her, but eventually she did. After a while, her elder sister had so much pity on her and forgave her. She was looking so old, older than her age. Her elder sister was even younger than her. After so much pity, her elder sister took her in, took good care of her, and gave her enough money to continue her business in a bigger way. She also took her son, who was now 13 years old, from her and sent him abroad with her children. Few years later, news broke that Eugene was tortured by his mistress and fell sick. He was abandoned by the woman, and eventually he passed away. Annie heard the news and felt a mix of emotions. She was sad that someone had died, but at the same time, she was relieved that she was finally free from the toxic marriage. Though she lost herself, her sanity, her beauty, and youthfulness in the process. Annie looked back on her marriage and realized that she had made a mistake by trusting her pastor's prophecy without getting to know Eugene better. She learned a valuable lesson about the importance of taking her time and not rushing into things. With the support of her elder sister and her newfound independence, Annie was able to rebuild her life and create a brighter future for herself and her son. Annie's son thrived abroad, and she was proud of the young man he was becoming. She knew that she had made sacrifices for him, and it was all worth it. Annie's business flourished, and she became a successful entrepreneur. Annie's son was now a young man, and he was thriving in his new life abroad. He promised to make her mother proud and to also take good care of her, because he saw how toxic his father was to his mother. Though the father's toxicity affected him, but with therapy, he was rescued. What did you learn from this story? Let's hear you in the comment section. Hope you enjoyed this story. Like, share, and also subscribe to this channel. Turn on your bell notification so you get notified when an interesting story like this drops. See you in the next video.